In this video, we're going to go through examples 12.3 to 12.6 in your book. If you'd like to follow along, open the Chapter 12 Classwork.xlsx workbook for My Courses and click on the EX 12.3 worksheet tab. In this example, we're going to show how to enter the randomized variables using the Analytic Solver software. These formulas will not work unless you have the Analytic Solver installed. You know you do if you see the Analytic Solver and the Data Mining tabs. In order to have it installed, you must purchase the software for $25 and follow the instructions to install it in Excel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in cell B12 and I'm going to enter the normal distribution. Using that in the Analytic Solver software, I can just type in equals PSI normal, NORMAL. I can't type today, and open the parentheses, and now all I have to do is put in the mean of 1,000, 1000, type a comma, and a standard deviation of 100, and hit enter. And now the Analytic Solver software knows that that's a variable cell. So notice when I hover over it, I get the normal distribution with a mean of 1,000 and a standard deviation of 100. If you want to make sure that it always is a whole number, type equals round, open the parentheses, then put in your sign normal, open the parentheses, 1000, comma, 100, close up the parentheses for the sign normal, then type a comma 0 for the round, close up the parentheses and hit enter, and now you know that your production volume will always be a whole number. Now we're going to use a triangular distribution for the unit cost, which is actually not available in Excel, only available using the Analytic Solver. So in the unit cost, I'm going to type equals PSI triangular. I can double click the side triangular, and it just wants the low, the medium, and the high. So I'm going to type 160, comma, 175, comma, 200. Those are just the values that are given in the book. Close up the parentheses and hit enter, and now I actually have two variable cells in my model. Now we finished example 12.3. Let's move on to 12.4. So I'm going to click my EX 12.4 worksheet tab, and we're going to do the same thing using the distributions button. So what I'm going to click is I'm going to click the Analytic Solver tab. Again, you only have this tab if you've purchased the Analytic Solver software for $25 using the instructions that are in My Courses. So I'm in cell B12. I click Analytic Solver, and then in the simulation model, I'm going to click Distributions. So in my distributions, I'm going to choose normal. And there are all sorts of parameters that I can set here, but in the parameters group, the second group, I'm going to type a mean of 1,000, so I'm going to backspace the 0 and 1000. My standard deviation is going to be 100, so I'm going to add a 00 after the 1. Now it's very important that you click away before you click save, otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to have to click save twice. So I click away, make sure that it redraws the normal distribution, and then I click save, and that formula is now in cell B12. Now I'm going to click cell B10 for the unit cost, click my Analytic Solver, and click Distributions. This time I'm going to choose triangular. So it shows you a picture of what this is. So for our triangular, the minimum is 160. The likely is 175. Don't worry, that is not valid yet. We haven't typed in all of the parameters. And the max is 200. I'm going to backspace with the 3 and just type 200. And again, you have to click away to let it draw the distribution, and then click Save. So now I've been able to save the formulas and the distributions in both of my cells. So you can see here when I hover over B10, it shows me my triangular distribution, and when I select B12, it shows me my normal distribution. Now we're going to move on to example 12.5, which is the next step before we're going to run the simulation. So in example 12.5, I've already put in the triangular distribution. I've already put in the normal distribution. Notice I've included the round function to make sure that it comes out as a whole number. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set the output cell. Unless you set an output cell, the analytic solver cannot run the simulation. So our output cell is going to be cell B19, the cost difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on cell B19. I'm going to make sure that I'm on the Analytic Solver tab. And in the simulation model, I'm going to click Results and then In Cell. And you're going to notice that all it's going to do is it's going to add plus psi output, open parentheses, close parentheses. We could have just typed that, so I could have just double-clicked in cell B19 and just typed psi output, open parentheses, close parentheses. Now we're actually ready to run the simulation, so in example 12.6, we're going to run the simulation. I'm now going to click on the EX 12.6 worksheet tab. And you're going to notice that I already have my triangular distribution in. I already have my normal distribution in. And all I have to do is set my output cell. So I'm going to click in cell B19, click that Analytic Solver tab, Results, and then making sure that I'm on Output, click In Cell. So it adds that plus psi output. Now in the next two steps, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my options, and then I'm just going to run the simulation. So now making sure that I'm still on the Analytic Solver worksheet tab, I'm going to click Options, and it's going to set the trials per simulation. We have 1,000. That's okay. You probably want to do more. Excel can handle at least 5,000, probably even more like 10,000. We want to make sure that we're using Monte Carlo and not Latin Hypercube. And if we set the sim random seed to any number other than 0, what happens is we get the same numbers instead of different numbers for every simulation. We're not going to worry about that right now, but we've set our options. These are the only options that you need to set, but there are a lot of other options as well that we can look at. So now we're going to click OK, and now we're ready to run the simulation. So all I have to do now is click the Simulate button. And I'm going to click Run Once. And I get a whole bunch of cells because I have several simulations running on this workbook. But what we're interested right now is in cell B19, our cost difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click the chart where it says B19. And I'm going to get output specifically related to B19. Now this gives us all sorts of information about the 1000 trial simulation that was just run. So it shows us our mean, -3401, our standard deviation. Now the 5th and 95th percentile gives us our confidence interval. So what we know is that 5% of the observations are below negative 21,000, 5% of the observations are above 11,000, so this is a 90% confidence interval. Now we have our minimum and maximum values, we have our range of values, we have all sorts of information on the right-hand side. Now, if we'd like to see the probability of having a positive number, what we can do is we can move these red, vertical dotted lines. So if I move this red vertical dotted line, try to get it on the 0, it's not being very cooperative, but if I try to get it, there we go, I've got it on the 0, and then I move this dotted line to the end over here, we can see that I have a 59.4% chance of having a negative number as my cost difference, and a 40.6% chance of having a positive number. So you can move these around to see what are the probabilities of getting between two different numbers.